Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Elemental. I'm Joe. Today, I have a very special guest here with me. We have a very beautiful story of how we met, which I'm very excited to share with all of you. And without further ado, we have the co-founder of Hiyo. This is George Youmans. Welcome to the show, George. How you doing, man?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and I'm doing great. Excited for this conversation.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the earliest podcasts I've filmed, in terms of like in the day. But we're making it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, bright and early, wakey, eggs and bakey. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. Love it, man. So to get a better idea of who you are, I like to do just some rapid fire questions. So let's start off with where are you from?
So I'm from Westlake Village, California, so about 40 minutes north of Los Angeles, like a sleepy little suburb.
Very cool. Wait, you said it's what? North of?
North of Los Angeles, yeah. So if you just go up the 101, about 40 minutes,
cool.
You'll find us.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously I know where you're based out of, but where are you based out of now?
So I'm out of Venice. Venice has been home for the last, 8 years or so.
Yeah, and you have a pretty sweet spot here, like literally in the heart of Venice.
We're filming in my office. For Hiyo, we're literally directly into the Venice sign, so we're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
For better, for worse, you get all of the sounds of Venice, but it's also cool being right in the thick of it. So
yeah,
we dig it.
100%. Let's see, what's your favorite book?
Favorite book that I read probably once a year and I gift it all the time is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I don't know, that book is like, I don't know, a Bible for me in some ways. Favorite fiction book would be For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Never heard of that book.
Ernest Hemingway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I haven't read much of Ernest Hemingway, but
he's a gruff, kind of angry dude, to
Yeah.
be honest, but his writing is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that book. So.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I read a lot of like quote unquote like self-helpy books, and things like that. But like Obstacle is the Way, like The Daily Stoic is a daily book for me. Ashley and I will do like tea and like meditation, and then usually we read The Daily Stoic.
So are you into Discipline is Destiny? You gotten into it yet?
No, I haven't gotten into that. I have The Daily Stoic, and then I have the Courage is Calling, right?
Yeah. So he just releases or published, whatever you want to say, his latest book, and I'm listening to it on audiobook right now. And I'm just a big fan of Ryan Holiday, just in general, and Stoic philosophy. So I'm really hopeful in my life. So
heck yeah, that's excellent. All right, your favorite quote?
So it's the last stanza of a poem by Rudyard Kipling called If. And it's, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So it's got a lot of ties to me, just from like family stuff. I've got it tattooed on me.
I was gonna say you knew that really well.
Yeah, I know. It's my favorite poem. My grandma like framed it in my room when I was a kid, and it's just really stuck with me. I think it's a beautiful poem about not wasting time, and it kind of even ties to the hat that I'm wearing, like living a life never wasted. So in my own own ways that I connect it there. So
I like that. That's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna definitely be getting into the wasted logo and Hiyo and all of that for sure. But I think to start this off, we have to talk about like how we met. It's one of the most interesting ways to meet a person.
Intimate.
Yeah.
Intimate.
I can say I've never met a person in that way before. But essentially, like, I'll kind of let you take the reins on this, but I'll just kind of set the scene. Like, we went to a place called Still Life here in Venice, and there was a eye-gazing, eye-gazing meditation kind of, right? And so definitely a very uncomfortable situation, but like, what was explain the experience and kind of what you felt.
Yeah, so we go in. It's described as a 90-minute introduction to stillness. I'm in like comfy clothes, thinking, do I need to bring a yoga mat? I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna chill. This is gonna be comfy, cozy, nice. And then instead, this wonderful man starts leading us through this kind of stillness practice, and he says, pick someone that you don't know. And Evan, at this time, I did not know you. And that's going to be your partner. And you guys are going to go through this together. And we're like, okay, cool. And then he's basically like, now stare into one of their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just keeps talking through it. And you're like, okay, what's going on? And then it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And so, this concept of eye gazing or just looking into, especially someone's eye that you don't know.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable to start, and it's also very intimate in a weird way.
Super.
And I don't know how long it was.
Yeah.
It felt like forever. It was one that I think originally I was really, I don't know, I even felt like my body fighting it, not wanting to focus, wanting to almost laugh out of it with you, and the uncomfortable kind of like, I wasn't able to go to my usual, I guess, tricks of being in an uncomfortable situation where it's like, make a joke or try to make you feel comfortable or I don't know, like look away. And it was a really interesting thing that kind of like mirrored back onto me the thoughts that I was going through of the typical things that I would use, and it's just like, no, sit in it. And after a while, it felt like this final breakthrough of really feeling pretty calm in it and enjoying it, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it honestly, it felt almost like chiropractic in a way of like, it was like, fighting it, and then it like cracked.
Yeah.
And then, it was honestly a really beautiful experience, and I think it was probably one of my favorite ways to meet a person that I've ever gone through.
Dude, 100%. I think it's also, I feel like you connect with a person almost better without speaking, right? Like, I felt like I understood more about you than someone who I would actually like speak to and try to like get to understand. Like, I felt like not just the facade that we put on, right, when we first meet someone, but like literally, like, I felt like I could tell like this guy is, very just like nice, and like I could tell you like wanting to like make this situation feel better, like I was too.
Yeah.
And afterwards I just like had a connection that it was like, no, like I know who you are, even though I don't know who you are,
Yeah.
And that was pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that probably us describing this on the podcast, people are like, what are you talking about? You're just staring at each other. But that was a profound feeling as well.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I knew you pretty well after a short period of time. It felt like a long time. But, but yeah, it's a really cool experience that was difficult, was anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
And then was even like mildly hallucinogenic. And I know that sounds bizarre, just listening to this, but it was, I don't know, your vision almost starts playing some weird tricks on you.
Yeah. When
you're just breathing and staring in one spot and you're a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was a very unique experience that I haven't had anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely, I know the first portion of us staring, that was like the most uncomfortable, and I was super happy to close my eyes because I felt like at that point, all of the like social norms of like not staring someone in the eyes is like right there in your face, and you're wanting to like, look away, smile, like whatever, and then it was afterwards that we meditated, that envisioned like our younger selves, like even our younger selves, like playing as kids, right? And then once we opened our eyes after that, I felt so much more comfortable and just like at ease, and like it was at that point that I was able to just drop the guard and then just look at you and observe, and then at that point, that's when I started like you were saying, seeing like almost like a little bit of a glow around your body, like the outline of your body. I could see like a little bit of a glow. There were times where your face was completely like pitch black, but I could see your eyes. There was times where I saw the hair, like I saw curly hair, which I thought was wild, because you had cut your hair that day, and that was such a trip. So yeah, there was just crazy things that were happening, but I enjoyed that, and coming out of it, like it was interesting to hear your perspective as well, and like
yeah. I mean, I think that if nothing else, it was this really interesting experience of, okay, look at what your mind can do when you're just thinking in a little bit of a different way. And you know, whether you want to get into like the untapped power of your brain and the way that we kind of work, and even like almost just going, like forcing your mind into different kind of ways of thinking. It was fascinating. So I couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't say like just go pick someone random off the street and stare at them. Like we did have you know, a awesome guy
for sure
there that was really framing the experience, and I think, as you said, like that invitation to play and be almost like curious and playful after you know, after that period of like closing our eyes too was helpful as well. But yeah, it's a great way to meet you, and especially to start a relationship. So.
Yeah, 100%. I agree on that, man. And then I was like pretty interested in hearing though afterwards. Then you were the founder of Hiyo, which like for me personally, I mean, like, I'm not a huge drinker. I do occasionally enjoy a beer or wine, which has been like less and less and less over the years. But it was pretty wild because like I had multiple, I don't know what you would really call them, but like alternative drinks to alcohol, right? And one of them was Hiyo. Like I tried it before, and yeah, it was just really cool to hear that like you had this company, and I was like, oh, that's so wild. But like, I want to definitely dig into that and kind of maybe just start with like where you came up with this idea, like what led to it, what led you down this path of wanting to create this incredible product, which I think is really, really necessary in this time of, you know, day and age, right?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think like the experience or the inspiration for most entrepreneurs is usually trying to solve some level of a problem, and usually I think it's oftentimes in your own life. And for me, I come from a family with kind of bad alcohol issues, and my best friend, college roommate, and business partner, we both do. And back in April 2019, we both had family members hospitalized with some alcohol-related issues, and it was this weird kind of like coincidental and frankly kind of like traumatic experience that caused us to cut back our drinking out of solidarity with those family members. And as we did, we started seeing just the profound need for something like Hiyo in the world. You know, it was a lot harder to not drink and still maintain the social life that we did. For two main reasons. One was the societal pressure and the expectation, and you know, maybe the circles that we ran in and continue to, just having an expectation that the activity that we were doing for the weekend was going to be drinking, and that if you're not drinking and going to bars, it's pretty damn difficult. And then two, it's the options that were out there all felt like lesser than, almost like punishments in their own way to their alcoholic counterparts. You know, you have like, okay, I can get a boring soda water and lime, and it's just like, okay, you can't get excited about that. You can have a soda and feel like you need to sit at the kids' table. And you know, you can have like a sugary mocktail, and then you're like, well, I'm not even being healthy. Or like an energy drink, and then your sleep's jacked up, and you still wake up hungover in your own way. And it's like, why did I even not drink? And then even like non-alc beer, as someone that doesn't drink anymore, I'm excited that that exists because it does make it a little bit easier. And but that's like beer without the feeling,
right,
to me.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, that's a sacrifice, or that's a lesser than. And what we wanted to do with Hiyo was create a better than alcohol alternative, like something that had a better value proposition than the status quo alcoholic drink, right? Where you can get kind of like a stress relieving, mood boosting feeling that people usually seek from alcohol in those kind of unwinding moments, but have it come from healthy, functional ingredients that, you know, don't lend themselves to abuse, that taste great, that, you know, works within like that. If you are trying to live a healthier, happier life, if you are trying to drink less, Hiyo can answer that call and not be one that is feeling like a sacrifice, but feeling like something that you're proud to hold in your hand, that you're excited to drink, that type of thing.
Right.
So that was really the impetus for it, and that was where the inspiration kind of came from. Kind of a shitty moment. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, yeah.
But yeah, just kind of a shitty moment. And yeah, we're trying to enact some positive change and shift a societal norm that I think is very, very important and very timely, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that leads me to a few questions. For one, are you because obviously I just buy you guys in stores. I don't actually go out to too many bars, but like, are you actually represented in some of the bars, at least locally, by chance?
Yeah, so some local. So like Winston House, Waterfront, those are gonna be some of the best places like in Venice. But not to get too into the weeds of distribution, but distributing product into bars and restaurants is a lot more high touch and a lot more time intensive than getting into retailers, which are called like off premise.
Okay.
So like you purchase the product and then you enjoy it off premise.
Okay, got you.
On premise is like you enjoy the product on the establishment, so, or like in the establishment.
Okay, wow.
So that would be like restaurants and bars, right?
Right.
So we're in a couple. We're not in as many as we'd like to be, but we're a small team, and it's kind of like trying to stay focused on doing one thing well.
Yeah.
And then once we kind of get that under our belt, then moving into the next phase. Right now, that's primarily direct to consumer, so just on drinkhiyo.com. Like that's what we really wanted to focus on to start, because you can know so much more about who your customers are, why they're buying, why they're not buying again, like what are the things that they don't like.
Right.
And as a young company, like having that feedback loop is so important. Where and having the opportunity to educate, right? Like we're this new beverage in a new category with like adaptogenic and nootropic, and it's like that might get lost on the shelf a little bit, or that might get lost in the bar. But if we can control that narrative, at least to start, where people can initially meet us, that's helpful, right? So that was a long-winded answer.
Yeah, no.
Are you in bars? Yeah,
I like
that's
it.
helpful.
And also, what would be, because like you said, like instead of just a boring soda water or a super sugary drink, what is it that you're putting in your beverages specifically that are creating the feel-good effects, kind of, or uplifting, or maybe even like a down-regulating kind of drink where get you in a calm state? Like, what are the main kind of deals you use there? Because I know, for example, like I've had purely just like kava in the past, which I enjoy. I like kava, but and I know that will get you into a very calm state. And then also, you don't use any sugar, right? Like, do you guys use cane sugar?
So we use a little bit of organic cane sugar.
Okay.
So I'll get into I'll be able to answer both of those questions. So we have 6 functional ingredients that kind of lend to what we like to call the float, is that feeling. So we kind of like branded it almost. But it's ashwagandha, cordyceps, lion's mane, L-theanine, ginger, and turmeric. The reason, there's a specific reason for each of those ingredients. We kind of wanted to back into like the ideal social mood, which is probably stress-free, present, and maybe like a little kick of energy. We didn't want it to be from caffeine because, like I said earlier, if you have a bunch of caffeine before you sleep, your sleep's going to be messed up.
Right.
You'll wake up not feeling refreshed the next morning. That's like a new version of a hangover.
Right.
And the reason why we wanted to choose all the ingredients that we did was, you know, they're all GRAS certified, so that's generally regarded as safe. They are not seen as, we didn't want to be a dietary supplement, we wanted to be a conventional beverage. The other thing was that we wanted each of them to be like plant-based, each of them to be organic. We wanted them to be accessible as well. And I think that one of the tough things about the ingredients that we put in there, all of them, while good for you, none of them taste good. So that's why we had to put a little bit of organic cane sugar in. Because if you're just having like an ashwagandha drink, it's gonna taste like the earth. And cordyceps and lion's mane, like, well, great for you. Again, not the most delicious things. And we wanted to create, you know, a delicious beverage that, you know, when you turn around the label, like, oh my gosh, there's so many things in there that are working together to kind of create that experience. And then just kind of mentioning on kava, part of why we didn't want to use kava is just that it can be kind of tough on your liver, right? And the regulating that it causes or requires. So we didn't want to substitute out alcohol with another thing that's like maybe a little bit negative. We wanted something to be, for sure, everything that's in it is healthy for you. Other than the sugar, I know that that's like, you know, it's demonized right now, and we only have 3 grams of added sugar,
which is much lower than.
Which is pretty low. We try to work it hard to not put too much in, while still making a damn tasty beverage. So,
well, I mean, I'm trying to remember what like a can of Coke is at, but it's like 28 grams of sugar or something, right?
Plenty.
So 3 grams compared to 28, like, is much better. 100%. Especially like you said, going out for a night of drinking, like getting one of those sugary, you know, mocktails or whatever, like.
It's just a bunch of syrup.
So much sugar, That's amazing though, and so in terms of your sobriety though, and leading up to this company, like, did you yourself have issues with alcohol, or was it mainly just a trend that you saw with your family that kind of, you were like, man, I need to put a stop to this?
Yeah, I mean, so I think if you ask a lot of people that love me, they would say, oh no, he didn't have a problem, like if I'm saying it publicly. And almost as like, when I will mention, oh yeah, I'm sober, some of my family members will be like, but he didn't have a problem, like he just decided to, in a way to somehow protect my reputation or something. I identified as it was a problem to me, because I think that I just, ultimately I was launching Hiyo, and I don't feel like I drink too often, but I think when I would drink, I'd get after it a little bit. And the hangovers just would ultimately, I think I'm just someone who's naturally pretty hard on himself and tries to hold himself to a high standard. And the negative self-talk that I would have in a hangover would be brutal. And I just felt like, look, this is holding me back from the best version of me. And not to say that now that I've stopped drinking that I'm anywhere close to perfect, but at least it is, to me, I feel as though I'm trying to chase the best version of myself, and that is good enough for me. You know, when I'm looking in the mirror type thing. So I think it's just something that ultimately I feel like I'm better without it, and that's why once I got over the, you know, the standard habitual nature of drinking and the reward center that it kind of can be for you. Once I got over that and started changing my expectations or habits around it, it really hasn't been too challenging. I mean, sure, there's times that every once in a while it's like, yeah, a drink sounds pretty good. I don't know, for me the benefits have just been so much greater than that. So it really hasn't felt like a sacrifice. It's more about, you know, what it's made space for in my life. And most of that's a lot better than other stuff.
Well, I've got like kind of 2 parts to the answer here that I want to give you is like, first off, with alcohol, because like you said, the benefits are so much better, and I think it takes time to notice that, right? But one of the main things that a friend of mine said that I really, really liked was, with alcohol, it's like you're always just like one moment away from having like the worst night possible, right? Like throughout, you could have a really great time, you know. I mean, there's been times where I've been out drinking and just had like incredible time, you know, such awesome, you know, going out, hanging out with friends, whatever. And there's also been nights where it's been like one of the worst freaking nights because just something happened, you know, someone got triggered, you know, whatever. And it's like, it's so true. Like, you are one moment away at all times from just having like a terrible night. So that alone, I'm like, is a really good reason for me to not really care to drink. And then also, I think, and I don't know if, I don't know how true this is, but I definitely feel that here in America, we have kind of like a bad relationship with alcohol, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because, you know, growing up, it was like, when you would go out and drink, it was like you were going out to get messed up. You weren't going out to enjoy a glass of wine at dinner, right? And so when my fiance Ashley and I went to Spain to visit some of her family out there, and we were going to go to this festival, and so all her cousins were like, let's go grab like a little bit of liquor at the liquor store, and you know, we'll drink before we head out, right? We're young, like still in college, and so we're like, yeah. So we go to the liquor store, we get like a bottle, and then we were ready to just go check out with just the bottle, right? And like we're thinking we're just gonna take shots. Also pretty cheap at this time, right? And so then her cousins were like, what the heck are you guys doing? Like, we need ice, we need mixing, you know, we need cups, we're gonna enjoy this. Like, what are you guys trying to do? Like, get super messed up, you know? And so anyways, yeah, like just seeing that, I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like they wanna like enjoy the drink, you know? Like, this is odd, you know? And so just seeing that, and then now in like my health journey, seeing like the blue zones, where these communities who are living super long, they still consume alcohol from time to time, but the way they do it is so almost like ritualistic, right? Where it's like they only drink in the presence of others. They only drink at this time, you know, like after a certain hour, right? And with friends, and it's only like 1 or 2 glasses or this kind of alcohol, you know. So it's like there's a lot of boundaries set up around it. It's not just drinking anytime, whatever you want. Like it's a very almost like a ritual where you're enjoying the presence of someone else, which, you know, like if you are going to drink, like it should be to enjoy the presence of other people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I definitely am not one to like yuck anybody's yum. Like,
yeah.
if you like drinking, like all good, but I think it's just like taking a hard look and saying, is this like dampening your shine at all? And if so, then like reframe your relationship and compartmentalize the parts of your life that involve alcohol, and maybe make sure that it's not going to be hindering you, right? Like,
yeah.
By virtue of whoever is listening to this podcast, like it is so much about optimizing and prioritizing your health and those things. Like, I imagine that a lot of people who are listening are people that want to chase the best versions of themselves.
Right.
And I think that there's no way that you can have that with an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And there's no way that you can have that with, like, honestly, often consumption.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think that but life isn't about like just restricting and making like, oh yeah, I'm so healthy, but I'm not enjoying myself. Like,
right.
That's not it at all. But it is, to me, I think it's just like, don't do stuff that dampens your shine. And for me, that was alcohol. And you know, ultimately it's about like finding balance for yourself, and what a balanced lifestyle looks like for me might look different for you. And for me, it's just like, yeah, I don't drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, like my co-founder still drinks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My other co-founder Signy, like she'll not to like put her on.
Yeah.
It's like she's drinking all the time,
yeah.
but she'll drink more often.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, my fiance has the healthiest relationship with alcohol of like anyone that I've ever seen, and she'll drink, you know, relatively often, but it's, it doesn't throw off at all. So it's just like, find what works for you.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think, like the most important thing there is also the relationship with it, because up until recently, I had never really seen someone really go through through rehab or, like literally having a detox from drinking for a week straight, you know what I mean? Like once I saw that, I never knew how intense alcohol could be, right? Like, I always just thought it was like a hangover the next day. Yeah. And then I saw someone who literally, was having a hard time, like, eating food, was like, having like cold sweats and shakes from alcohol, right? Like, completely blew my mind, and really, I think that's what really kind of like opened my mind to like, whoa, this is like really powerful. I mean, it's a poison, right? Yeah. It's absolutely a poison, and the dose is the poison, I guess. But it's definitely, I think it comes down to the relationship with alcohol. But I think it's cool to have Hiyo, and like have this alternative where now it's like maybe you go out and you enjoy a drink, but then like you don't want to be all effed up the rest of the night, so you go ahead and you switch over and have that, or you start your night out with that and just get the flow on and enjoy your evening that way, and then don't have to deal with any of the repercussions.
Yeah, I mean, we're like peeling back the curtain, it's like we're trying to like almost sneak health and wellness into the social setting. Yeah. And it's like,
okay, I love it so.
Move that and just set that there, and like, hey, everybody good?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that especially in a world where I think stress is kind of at an all-time high, mental health is probably at like an all-time low.
Right.
It kind of aligns in that. Like, alcohol is a depressant. Again, I don't mean to just be harping so negatively.
No, right.
But that's a part of what we're trying to do, right? Is support that journey of like a healthier, happier you. And I just, we all make decisions that are informed from our experiences, and I've seen so profoundly the negative effects of alcohol in my lives, in my own life, but in the lives of those I care about, that it just was like, yeah, this has to happen. This has to exist. And I think that what we're seeing is there's more information coming out on the negative effects of alcohol, and there's also more just excitement around prioritizing your health in all aspects, in all areas of your life.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to answer that call in kind of that unwinding post 5 p.m. like social occasion.
Yeah. Well, also, what I think is so important about this is, have you heard of the Harvard study that was spanned over like 75 years, like almost 80 years long, where they tracked like 700 men from 1930 something to like 2008. Did you hear about that study? So the thing that they found that was the number one like key to longevity and like mental and just physical health overall was like the quality of relationships and like social life essentially, right? Like your community. And that was the number one thing, regardless of your economic like status, like where you started off as a kid, your your race, like any of that stuff, right? Because they took like Harvard graduates, but then they also took people who were just like from a city, you know what I mean? So it was really interesting to see, and we also see it with like blue zones where they have amazing like sense of community, right? And so I think that's one of the main things is like with alcohol, it's always like, I would love to go out and hang out with you, but I know you're going to be going out to this bar, and it's like, I just don't want to get messed up, and I don't want to chill on a soda water with a lime in it, and so I always like Hiyo, it was always like, well, if you're going to go out, okay, it's okay to have like a drink or two, because it's worth the benefit of being with the people that you love and like fostering that relationship. But I think it's cool to be able to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look, I think it's totally backwards in our society that we have to like sacrifice our mental and physical health to feel social, to feel like stress-free, to feel included, like all of that stuff. I mean, that's backwards. And frankly, I think with Hiyo and with some of the other like kind of options that exist, like that doesn't have to be the case.
Right.
And that's something that I'm insanely proud of and excited to hopefully continue to permeate throughout our society in a more widespread way. That, you know, abstaining from alcohol in the social occasion is not just accepted, but even like celebrated to a certain degree. So, you know, we've got our work cut out for us, but
yeah. Also, with the whole wasted logo. So I heard you mention earlier that like obviously not getting wasted, but a life wasted. Like how? So what does that mean to you? Like,
yeah. So I think that, I mean, one, it's kind of just like a playful, like living a life never wasted. Wasted is, you know, when you're wasted, it's, you know, you're messed up on alcohol, but then also living a life never wasted. Like, I think something that has always resonated really strong with me is if you're not trying to be the best version of yourself, then what are we doing here?
Right.
Like, is there no, I think there's really not too many more altruistic and worthy goals to focus on in this life, because it's one that obviously you benefit from, but everyone in your sphere of influence does as well. And if you are chasing that best version of yourself, I think that's what it means to kind of live a life never wasted. If you're wasting your talents or your empathy or your ability to connect with people, if you're wasting your health, like those things, I think will ultimately kind of eat at you. And I think ultimately, at least for me, the disparity between kind of where you're at and where you know you can be will eat at you as well. And I think that this idea when we were creating Hiyo of living a life never wasted really resonated with me, and I think it's caught on in some capacity. That you know, we should try to be chasing that best version, because you know, it's a profound thing. This life is a gift, and if you get to chase that, I think you'll feel a lot better when you're looking in the mirror, right? And it's not about like necessarily like getting there, but it's the pursuit of it, right? That's made all the difference, and I think that I think also, if I'm just being pretty open, if I have regret in my life, it's that I drank too much in my like early 20s. I think I wasted some of that time. I think I wasted my opportunity in college and even like right out of college. It was just too much of a you know, an easy opportunity. Like, I think if there's one thing that I regret, it's a little bit of that. So maybe there's a portion of that kind of inspiring the wasted.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. I mean, at least you're at a place where you've understood that, right? And you're able to move forward. And I think like going back to almost like the obstacle is the way, right? It's like if you're wasted, right? If you're constantly getting wasted and you know, you're not living to your full potential, because obviously you're going to have recovery days and you're just not going to be at your top level. It's like, how are you going to respond to that obstacle? Are you going to shy away from it? Are you going to face it head on and grow from it? You know, and so that can play out in so many ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think like positive momentum is a really powerful thing, and if you have these like full stop breakage days where you are hungover and you have negative self-talk, you are not proud of like maybe the night before, or you just feel like shit and you just don't feel like you can be the best mother or the best partner or the best like friend, whatever. That kind of eats at you. And for me, it was like, in some weird way, it was like, you don't deserve to have your dreams fulfilled. You don't deserve to be fully happy. And again, that's just my experience. But I think that if you commit to something and you commit to like trying to be the healthiest, best version of yourself, and you stick with that, that positive momentum starts rolling downhill, and in a really awesome way that, I don't know, for me, it just felt like things started coming together. In a lot of ways. Not to say that it was a panacea and everything just all good now.
Right.
But it's awesome to see those kind of the feeling of what if I didn't have any off days?
Mm-hmm.
How much can I achieve in whatever goal that you're setting? Like whether it's like you're a young hustler who's trying to make a name for himself with your business, or whether you're like old grandpa and you just want to like spend more time with your kids or your grandkids or whatever. I think having no off days lends itself to a better version of that.
Exactly. I mean, imagine the productivity level of a person who has to take off days to recover, right? As opposed to a person who doesn't. I mean, that's, even if it was just one day a week, like that's 24 hours, or, okay, like let's just make it daytime, like 12 to 16 hours of the day that you have that the other person wouldn't, or the other version of you wouldn't if you were having to recover. And even like, I thought about, like with working out, like now there's this whole thing of like working out up to the point of like, just before you get exhausted, just before you have to like mess up your muscles and recover for 3 days later because you're so sore, but getting to the point where like you build just enough and then the next day you can go back and repeat because you didn't like overexhaust the muscles. And it's the same deal, it's, if you're really trying to get that 1% better every day or whatever, like not having an off day is going to be massive. And I think that was naturally one of the really big things for me is like I get really bad hangovers when I do drink, and so then it was like the entire day was just wasted, like just laying around, and it really got to me. I did not like that at all.
Well, and also like if you do make those type of decisions, like, and let's say you waste the next day, like maybe you're one of those psychopaths who's able to like wake up, work out, and just like crush through that. I wasn't, and it just would be like, okay, that decision to drink led to overconsumption, that then led to me feeling like crap the next day, sleeping in, ordering like a breakfast burrito, and like sitting on the couch, watching Netflix or something, not getting into my community, not getting outside, not getting active, then feeling bad for myself, and then feeling like the next day, maybe I'm still even a little bit hungover into my Monday, not feeling like on fire to focus on the work that I needed to do, then feeling guilty about it. It's just like there's this negative slippery slope kind of thing that when you can connect positive decisions, it just has the complete opposite effect, where it's like this positive momentum, I guess, or positive slippery slope. I don't know what to exactly call it, but that's been one of the profound things that I've seen, and I encourage people, even if it's alcohol's still going to be a component of your life, like maybe taking breaks off and just seeing how you feel. Sorry to get like preachy.
No, I love it.
I really don't mean to, but it's just been such a positive thing in my life that I want to share that.
I mean, we're not here to tell anyone how to live their life, but just provide the option,
Definitely not just trying to kind of give my experience in case it might inspire someone to check it out.
Love it, man. Well, let's go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you, where they can find Hiyo. Any last pointers you want to share? Maybe also just talk about maybe a couple of the drinks if you want, which obviously are just super delicious. I actually like to drink them, not even in terms of like substituting alcohol. I like the flavor, and it's a little bit of a nootropic, I think, in some ways. So feel free to share whatever you'd like to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you can check us out at drinkhiyo.com, on Insta, Facebook, TikTok, all Drink Hiyo. We got 3 flavors: peach mango, watermelon lime, blackberry lemon. They're all kind of like fruit forward, delicious seltzers, refreshing. And they don't taste too healthy. So
no, the peach mango is my favorite. That one's good.
Sweet. But yeah, that's kind of it. And thank you so much for having me on the pod. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, George. Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Also, everybody for being a listener of the show. George has been kind enough to provide a 15% discount code, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Elemental 15.
Yeah, so definitely check them out. You guys will not be sorry. It's a delicious drink. Like I said, you just have at any time. I've even had it like when I'm working. This is very nootropic, honestly. And thanks for coming on to the show, George.
Sweet.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Alrighty. Everybody, you know the motto of the show, treat everything with good intentions and connect your elements. Peace.